Thanks, Ron.
Okay, Ron, thank you. Those guys have to call me Your Eminence. You don't.
I feel like I should be interviewing you tonight after hearing the great news.
Pleased to welcome the Ottawa Senators President of Hockey Operations and General Manager Steve Staios to After Hours, proud Hamiltonian and honored member of the Hamilton Sports Hall of Fame, which we'll get to in a moment, just as soon as we dissect the wonderful run the Senators are on. Winners, I think, now of, 8 of your last 9 and 6 straight. So that is some pretty good general managing right there, Steve.
Yeah, I wish I could take the credit. I think general managers sort of, when things aren't going well, that's when we're at the forefront. But full credit to our players. They've, I talked about going into this season about internal growth. We have a strong core of young players, as everybody knows, and you go through that process of learning how to win. And I think from some of the adversity that they've faced, including this year when we went on a 5-game losing streak, and for them to be able to bounce back the way that they have and showing the resilience and especially in some tough buildings and on the road. Tonight was a great example of how we just sort of stayed with it. But proud of the effort, and the coaching staff has them organized and motivated.
Your comment at the end of last season when you missed the playoffs was you thought expectations might have got the better of your team. Now, you have to know that when your team is winning the way it is currently, expectations only rise. What are yours for your team right now?
Well, I think going back to my comments last year, I did fully believe that clearly we weren't ready to take that next step. The expectations this year, we talked a lot about process, and I know it's maybe a little bit of an overused word, but certainly the process of learning on how to win, the details of the game, game management, all those types of things that Travis and the coaching staff have preached from the beginning of the season. So my expectation is that we get prepared and we win the day tomorrow, whether it's a game or a practice, and we've taken that approach. And I think that's sort of, you're in a Canadian market, and there's always that pressure to make the playoffs. They want you to state that you're going to make the playoffs on day one. Well, as everybody knows, you can't do that on day one. You have to instill a process and some discipline, and our players are buying in.
Let me play the role of Senators fan here for a moment. My team hasn't made the playoffs in, 7 years? Now we've got new ownership, new management, new coach. You've got a good goaltender. You've got a solid core of young players. So my expectation, again, playing the role of a Senators fan, is this is the year that we get to the playoffs and maybe even challenge. Is that reasonable?
I certainly hope so. I mean, we're going to watch as the process moves along, but again, this group is proving that they're up for the challenge. And I completely understand our fans, and it's me as well. Like, of course, we want to make the playoffs, and I know we don't want to use the word patience, but there is process that needs to take place for us to get to where we need to get to. We're going to follow through with that and continue on, but and we can't do anything about the 7 years prior to where we are today. We look at our roster and we managed it. We felt like we had a good off season. We were very detailed in our approach on what we were looking to add to our group, and we're watching it come together.
I want to ask you about Brady Tkachuk. If the Senators are going to go anywhere, he has to lead, and he is. There was a story that appeared recently that suggested the New York Rangers were interested in him. Strikes me these stories of teams being interested in other team stars are always out there. Were you bothered by that story?
I was. I think we all are. I think any general manager who has their captain out on trade rumors, I think that's a bother. And I think we have a very passionate owner in Michael Landlauer, and he is totally committed to the Ottawa Gatineau community, our fans, and our players. And I think he felt at the time that it was time to stand up for our players and our fans. I don't think our fans appreciate waking up in the morning and reading about our captain being in trade rumors. We get that it's part of the business, and there's going to be things out there, but we certainly wanted to make a stand and show our commitment to our players.
Steve, it's not the first time we've had you on this show. We can go back to 2006 when you were a key part of the Edmonton Oilers' run to the Stanley Cup final. And we had you on, I think, after Game 5, which the Oilers won to cut Carolina's lead to 3-2. You were on with Ethan Morrow, and even back then, you were leading.
It's the type of game tonight that we played that's given us success throughout these playoffs, and I don't know if it was the break, but game 1 and 2 we just didn't find the groove, and tonight was the start of how we can play, but we can certainly get better.
Does that seem like it was, 18 years ago?
Yeah. What a great run. A great team. Special time for us in Edmonton with that group.
All right, your post-playing career, you were destined to get into hockey management. Your connection with Michael Landauer, your owner of the Ottawa Senators, goes back to 2015 when he hired you to run the Hamilton Bulldogs of the OHL, and you ran them to great success. Bulldogs won 2 league championships, and you were named General Manager of the Year. Now, you have said you run the Ottawa Senators according to the same principles that saw the Hamilton Bulldogs win. What are those principles?
Well, we stick to our core values, and it's not just about the quality of the player, the type of player, but it's also the character of the person as well, and that runs throughout the entire organization. Michael Landauer will say it all the time: we care more and we work harder, and some simple principles to go by, but obviously on a much different scale at the National Hockey League level. But we're trying to build the same culture and commitment throughout the organization that we did in junior.
In October, you were inducted into the Hamilton Sports Hall of Fame. And by the way, don't you love it when people say you're from the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area?
No. I guess Kevin would know. You get to tell him exactly where you're from. No, I'm from Hamilton. Proud of it.
The video prepared by the Hamilton Hall of Fame committee was beautiful, really. It was a nice walk down memory lane from your time with the Hamilton Huskies, and you look pretty good there, to running the Bulldogs. What did growing up in Hamilton do for you? How did it shape your life?
Well, everybody knows it was a gritty town growing up, and I think really a lot of it is being yourself, being held accountable. Like no one put up with any BS growing up on the schoolyard or anything like that. So it helped shape you that way. And so many family and friends and cousins. I had older cousins that really sort of shaped. They're all athletes and were great influences on me. But proud of being from Hamilton, proud of what we did with the Bulldogs in Hamilton as well. And, always look back fondly on it.
You and wife Susanna and your kids, Nathan and Ella, are going to have a wonderful Christmas, free of worry that you might have had last Christmas. Susanna was just standing over there a minute ago, and she looks great. But that great Christmas is related to this video. So that's Susanna ringing the cancer-free bell at the Juravinski Cancer Center in Hamilton in February of this year. And I'll leave it to you, Steve, to share as much of the story of her journey and her winning battle as you like. Yeah,
it was, it really was a blow to us and out of left field. Susanna's an extremely healthy, fit person. And then we got hit with some crazy news last July. And, credit to her and her courage, but we sort of just kind of continued to plow through it. Like, what was the next step? And we sort of talked about that. And all this being done while I had this opportunity to come to Ottawa, and because of her courage, I talked about maybe taking some time off, and she wouldn't have anything to do with it. She wanted me to continue on. So just extremely proud of her, and hard to watch that video but she had her younger sister Allie there with her at the time, and the support that we had throughout our community in Oakville, her friends and all of our family were really the driving force behind it. But puts life in perspective pretty quickly, and now we're certainly enjoying that she's on the other side now.
At your introductory press conference last year as president of the hockey operations for the Senators, those press conferences are such that you got to say the right thing, and you did. And you didn't mention the stress your family was under, because only weeks earlier, Susanna had surgery to take that cancerous mass off her colon. I just wonder, how difficult was it to even accept the job with Ottawa under those circumstances?
Again, it was difficult. I thought at first to make that commitment, but again, Susanna's resolve and her continued to tell me that this is something that you need to do, and we put all the people in place, and to make sure that she had all the support that she needed, and I was able to continue on. And again, it's we feel like it was an interesting time for us, because we're kind of plowing through it on a day-to-day without thinking too far ahead. And so we've gotten through it, and it's incredible. And again, her courage and her strength is something to behold.
Frightening time, but a beautiful ending to the story. Steve, I want to thank you for joining us tonight on After
Pleasure.
Hours.
Thank you, and congratulations to you, sir.
Thanks again. There's Steve Staios, the president of hockey operations, the Ottawa Senators, and general manager, is our guest on After Hours. Claude Giroux, Sens veteran player, will sit in next.